Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American horror film from 2024, titled The Woods Are Real. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie begins with a long overdue dinner reunion between friends, marking Caleb's return after a mysterious 3-month disappearance. Caleb shares that he found inner peace during his time in the woods, but remains vague about his experiences. His calm demeanor sparks the interest of his best friend, Joba, who understands that spending 3 months in isolation can take a toll on one's mental well-being. When Joba's wife, Quincy, mentions her fundraiser to Caleb, he responds with a surprising and controversial opinion. Caleb claims that fundraisers have little real impact, and merely serve as a way for the wealthy to feel good about themselves, because it satisfies their sense of justice as they think that they are doing something good for society. He asserts that the children they're trying to help ultimately end up back in the same difficult circumstances. Quincy takes offense to his words, and in a moment of anger, rubs some cake on Caleb's face before telling him to leave. However, Caleb does not get angry as he calmly leaves the house, bidding them good night. Joba, unsure how to react to the situation, apologizes to Caleb and his boyfriend, Stan. Quincy doesn't take this lightly, as she doesn't want her husband to take Caleb's side. Since Caleb is gay and Joba is bisexual, Quincy brings up a topic from their childhood about being intimate with themselves, but Joba somehow managed to manipulate his wife into a romantic conversation. As they are making out, Joba receives a text and image from Caleb, showing the cabin where he stayed in the woods. In the text, Caleb apologizes for his behavior towards Quincy and suggests that the cabin could be beneficial for both of them. The next day, the couple heads to the cabin, and Joba expresses his desire to become a father to a child of color, either a boy or girl. He believes that having a child with his wife, Quincy, who is already a woman of color, will help him establish a stronger position in society. As soon as they enter the cabin, they notice a strange double-cross symbol and strange events begin to unfold, starting with objects falling mysteriously. But the couple shrugs it off and heads outside to enjoy a lovely moment together. Quincy and Joba discuss selling his outdated watch factory, which struggles to keep up with modern technology. Inside the cabin, Quincy discovers she's pregnant and goes to share the news with Joba. However, she finds him picking up objects with their names written on them, including Caleb's. Suddenly, the door slams shut, creating a tense and ominous atmosphere within the cabin. The gramophone suddenly starts playing a creepy and distorted voice that tells Joba and Quincy to surrender to God. At the same time, they receive shocking texts from their banks, revealing their money has disappeared. Confused and scared, they decide to deal with it when they get home. Joba and Quincy leave the cabin, but as they look back, they're horrified to see it has vanished. They're now lost in a dense forest with no way out. It's as if they stepped out of the cabin and get lost in the woods. As they struggle to survive in the endless woods, Joba and Quincy hear a gunshot nearby. Joba calls out for help, but Quincy warns him to stay quiet. They hide as a woodsman approach, and he steals Quincy's bag which contained their food. Joba decides to follow the woodsman's footprints, and instructs Quincy to hide. He comes across a tent and finds meat boiling outside, and his hunger gets the better of him. Unbeknownst to Joba, the woodsman has captured Quincy and used her to order Joba to sit down like an obedient boy. When Joba turns back, he didn't see Quincy and the man. He starts looking for Quincy, and after a while, Joba finds Quincy sitting in front of a tent. The woodsman finally interacts with Joba, saying that he has passed the level. The game is created by the man himself, in which the husband needs to come looking for his wife to prove his love toward her. The woodsman gives Joba tea to drink, without knowing that his tea has been drugged that make him unconscious, and the woodsman dragged him away. When Joba opens his eyes, he finds himself on the other side of the woods, thus, he loses Quincy to the woodsman. When Joba starts finding Quincy's whereabouts, he finds a table where he used to sit in his school days, and discover a note hidden under the table that says, "I will bury you alive." Joba sees Caleb buried alive nearby, and he somehow helps him get out of the hole. Caleb then disclosed that when he was here, he had to go through 4 steps to be enlightened. In other words, in exchange for freedom, he had to go through 4 stages: repent, submit, accept, and sacrifice. Since Caleb does not have any family and he never had a long-standing relationship, he gave up his best friend Joba to pass the sacrifice stage. However, he doesn't understand why he is brought back to the woods. Joba starts to understand the scheme here, as this is some serious thing going on, and he needs to find Quincy without wasting much time. Meanwhile, Quincy is going along with the woodsman while trying to find a way to get rid of the man once and for all. Quincy and Joba realize that the woodsman has gathered extensive personal information about them, including newspaper clippings, bank statements, and bills. They understand that they must escape the woodsman's clutches to survive, and Quincy learns she is the first pregnant woman to enter the woods. The woodsman tries to seduce Quincy, but she turns the tables and manipulates him into a position she wants him to be. Seizing the opportunity, Quincy stabs the woodsman with a sharp tree branch, causing him to scream in agony. Caleb and Joba hear the scream, and Caleb tells Joba it's time for him to repent. This makes Joba so angry because his doubt about losing Quincy turns into reality, so he starts chasing Caleb. He hides himself for a while so that he can attack Caleb, and when he does, he ends up killing him. Soon after, when Joba is washing his blood-soaked hands, he hears some women singing afar. He follows the sound and finds a meadow where he sees a woman standing inside a house. When Joba enters the cottage-like house, he finds 6 women sitting at a dinner table. Joba seeks food from them, and he learns that all of them are widows. They have been in similar situations to Joba and Quincy. However, unlike Joba, their husbands are dead, and Joba thinks that his wife, Quincy, is dead. Catherine, the eldest of them all, explains that their husbands were put in the same position as Joba, and they were all killed by the woodsman. However, they were told that if a man ever comes alive to the cottage, if he is a good man, they will be freed. When asked whether Joba is a good man or not, he tells them a story where he killed his pet just to get rid of his father's scolding. Knowing that Joba is not a good man, they lose hope and understand that they will not be free at all. Shortly, Quincy enters the cottage, and Joba runs toward her. When the widows learn that Quincy has already killed the woodsman, they all start screaming, saying that now they have to answer to the god. Joba tries to explain to them that now they are free, but the manipulation does not stop working. Seeing the widows behaving madly, Joba and Quincy run away from them into the forest again. Later that night, Joba sees a young boy walking toward them, whom Quincy describes as their unborn child. Quincy tries to make Joba understand that they cannot let this child come amidst such conditions. They do not have any clue where they will be in the coming days, and they don't even know whether they will be able to return to their home. Quincy believes that bringing a child into their precarious situation would be unwise, as survival is already a significant challenge. The next morning, Quincy lies on a large stone marked with a double cross, a symbol they've encountered before. Joba prepares to strike Quincy's belly with a branch to terminate the pregnancy, as they had discussed. However, just as he's about to act, a distant voice commands him to stop. The film ends with Joba and Quincy celebrating their son's birthday, revealing that the child they chose not to abort is the same boy who appeared to them in the woods, now alive and thriving. Okay guys, that's all the recap about The Woods Are Real from 2024. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.